Greetings, my drinking buddies. So, about a year ago, all the whiskey channels on YouTube decided to do 10 bottles of whiskey to try before you die. And somehow I missed out on that trend. But it looked really fun, so I want to do it, and I don't care if I'm a year late to the party. Better late than never.
I'm your drinking buddies.
10 bottles of whiskey to try before you die. Number 1, the bottle that you have to try before you die, the number 1, Pappy and Weller. Doesn't matter which bottle, you've got to try a Pappy, you've got to try a Weller. One or the other. So the only one I currently have, the only one I've ever had, I've tried them several times in bars, the Wellers, but I have never been able to land a bottle of Weller until I got this bottle of Full Proof. But Weller, it's the original wheated bourbon. It's a cheaper version of Pappy Van Winkle in a bottle, and there's a reason that people hunt for these. They're tasty. They're probably overrated. I mean, people pay thousands of dollars for a bottle of Pappy, and I don't see how that's possibly worth it. But this Weller Full Proof I have here, it's just a really nice pour, and I think that if you go to your local whiskey bar and they have Weller or Pappy on the menu, just try a pour. It's definitely one you want to try before you die. I know my number 1 unicorn is Pappy. I've yet to taste it. Had several Wellers, but never a Pappy. So number 2 is going to be a bottle that I personally think is a little bit overrated, but I feel like it's one that you just have to try. You have to experience Johnnie Walker Blue Label. I don't own a bottle. It's $200. I think it's overpriced for what it is. But if you can get a pour of it at a bar, do it. Because it's one of those whiskeys that's just so iconic. It's one that grocery stores have it for $200, and people buy it all the time because it's just an iconic bottle. You see that bottle, I've been looking at it since I was like 17 years old thinking, one of these days I'm buying that. And I never have. Because I had a pour of it and I thought it was a little bit overrated for the price. You just can't skip it. It's one that can't be skipped. It's got great notes of toffee. The malt comes through on it heavily because it's Scotch, of course, but it's also got some nice notes of chocolate. And I'm only going off my memory, of course, since I don't own a bottle, but if you see it on a menu and you can buy a pour of it, I would recommend doing that. And I feel like it's just too iconic to skip. Johnnie Walker Blue Label. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Buffalo Trace Mash Bill number 2. So when I say Mash Bill number 2, I'm specifically referring to Blanton's, Hancock Farms, Hancock Reserve, Rock Hill Farms, and Elmer T. Lee. And I'm gonna highlight Elmer T. Lee for my bottle, but I also have a Blanton's here. This is just one you can't skip. Elmer T. Lee, this one I think is my favorite of the bunch. This one sits at 90 proof. Blanton's is just slightly higher than that. These are really good. They're one that you're gonna wanna try. I know they're hard to find. I know that people hunt these. People go crazy for Blanton's. And when I taste it, I go, yeah, this is a little overrated, but it's so good still. Like, would I pay retail for it? All day long. Would I pay $200 for it? No, I wouldn't. But you're at a bar, they have Blanton's, they have Elmer T. Lee, they have Hancock Farms, they have one of these Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 2s. You gotta do it. You gotta try it out. For the number 3, for number 4, because we already did number 3. So for number 4, I'm gonna go with Early Times Bottled in Bond. Now, I know some of you out there are thinking, why is this a whiskey that I need to try before I die? It's Early Times. Well, I feel like this is the end-all be-all of affordable whiskeys. This is a $22 1 liter. I know it's hard to find, but this is the best cheap bottle of whiskey I've ever tasted. It's excellent. It's phenomenal. It's got wonderful flavors of, let's tell you, I got it poured right here. Got a really nice note of citrus and a little bit of honey. Clove, cinnamon, vanilla. Wonderful bourbon. $22 for a 1 liter. And I know a lot of people go out there and they kill themselves looking for a really good daily drinker. Here you go, I found it for you. Early Times, bottled and bond. It's excellent. Next up for number 5, we're gonna go with Booker's. It's too iconic to not put on one of these lists. You gotta try Booker's before you die. It's a foolproof Jim Beam product. It's got wonderful flavors of vanilla, peanuts, leather. It's sweet. It's got a really nice syrupy texture to it. This is one of my favorite bourbons, and you know, I know it's gone up in price significantly, but so have all the barrel proof whiskeys, and at 126.5 proof, Booker's is just an excellent pour. I highly recommend you check one out. Next up, we're gonna do Rare Breed Rye. I believe this means that I'm putting this in 2 lists in a row. However, Rare Breed Rye is one of my favorite all-time bottles. It's excellent, it just sips so good. It's got black pepper, caramel, heavy on butterscotch for sure, cinnamon. This Wild Turkey product, it just hits different. It's just so good. I love this thing. It's sitting at 112.2 proof, which is not super high on the barrel proof products, but you get all of those flavors to come out of it really nicely. It's not hard to find. If you go to your local liquor store, you probably can pick this up right now, and it's under 60 bucks. Rare Breed Rye. Try it right now. Next up, I'm gonna go with E.H. Taylor. I have a bottle here, but this is just the empty tube. They come in these nice tubes. But anyway, E.H. Taylor is a bottled and bond classic bourbon. This small batch, wonderful bourbon. It's 100 proof. All bottled and bonds are 100 proof. This is just a wonderful small batch bourbon that is becoming really hard to find. I know, but I've had a lot of opportunities to buy it over the last year. And so I know it's not impossible. I know that the barrel proof is probably impossible to find. The seasoned wood is probably hard to find. But the standard Colonel E.H. Taylor, you can find it if you hunt hard enough. And it's one that you should definitely try before you buy. Try before you die. All right, so the next one is gonna be a little bit weird, I know. However, I'm gonna recommend that you just find a really great finished whiskey that you love. And what do I mean by finished whiskey? I mean, they took a bottle of whiskey, a barrel of whiskey, and then they finished in a different barrel. So something like Angel's Envy. So this is a bourbon finished in port barrels, something like Barrel Armida, which is a bourbon finished in brandy, rum, and Sicilian Amaro casks. Something like this Sacred Stave that's finished in Madeira casks. Something like that Glenlivet back there that's finished in bourbon casks. It's a scotch that's finished in bourbon. But I'm gonna highlight Angel's Envy for mine because I have it here and it's a readily available, really nice port finished bourbon. This one has a really great flavor of wine sweetness. It's got a silky texture to it, maple, really nice quality bourbon that you can find fairly readily available as well. So this is one you could try right now. I'm sure if you went to your local liquor store, they would have Angel's Envy. But that might not be your bag. I'm telling you to find a great finished whiskey that you love. And that has to be something you try before you die. Until you find a bottle of finished whiskey that you love, your life cannot be complete. Find one you love. All right, so next up, I got kind of a weird one here. I'm not talking about one specific whiskey for number 9. This is gonna be find a great local whiskey. Now, I gotta support local whiskeys on this because I love local products. Local beer is excellent. Buying local is awesome. And I promise you that if you seek hard enough, you will find a great local whiskey. It might not be as great as some of the stuff coming out of Kentucky, but you can certainly find some good stuff. So for me, I have two I'll highlight here. You know, I got Whiskey Del Bach. This is made right here in Tucson where I live. This Dorado is mesquite smoked. This is an excellent one. I also have some other stuff like this Sacred Stave. This is made by Santan Brewery. You might know some of their beers, but it's a Madeira cask finish, sits at 90 proof. This one's pretty good too. Nice rye, but I'm gonna go with, I have probably 5 local whiskeys, and this is my favorite. I really, really enjoy the Whiskey Del Bach Mesquite Smoked Dorado. This one, it's got wonderful flavors of tobacco, chocolate, maple. This is just a really nice bottle that you could enjoy with a steak. It tastes really nice, neat on the side with with a meat. You know what? It has a smoked meat flavor to it too, like some of those Isla Scotches. And yeah, Whiskey Del Bach. But for you, just find a local bourbon, find a local whiskey, find a local rye, something to try out, and find a good one and make that one of your bottles you drink regularly, because it's good to support local, and it's also good to find something in your area that you can get regularly that you love. So for me, number 9 has to be a bottle that is local to your area. And number 10 is going to be another bottle I don't have. So we didn't have the Johnnie Walker Blue Label, and we also don't have a bottle of Stag Junior. Recently there were some store picks that hit a lot of stores in my area, and I just wasn't able to get one. I happened to be out of town. I happened to be in Texas buying this bottle of Early Times Bottled in Bond. I was visiting some family, and I wasn't able to be here when the Stag Junior hit. However, I was able to try it a couple times at bars while I was out of town. Tasted it at a burger joint in Galveston that was excellent. And Stag Junior, it's a wonderful pour. I highly recommend you seek one out, get a pour of it, because buying a bottle of it is hard. But it is one of those bottles, it's a unicorn that you need to try before you die. And that's why I threw it on this list. Drinking buddies, so this has been my 10 bottles of whiskey to try before you die. So to run back through it, we had Pappy and Weller, we had Blue Label Johnnie Walker, we had Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 2. I specifically highlighted the Elmer T. Lee. Next up we had Early Times Bottled in Bond, great cheap bourbon. You gotta find a great daily drinker. Next up we had Booker's. We had Rare Breed Rye. We had Colonel E.H. Taylor Small Batch. Best available local whiskey. A finished whiskey that you love. And lastly, Stag Junior. We went through our list. Drinking buddies, I appreciate you guys liking my video. I appreciate you guys subscribing to this channel. I want to deliver more content to you. The only way I can do that is if you hit like and you subscribe. Thanks for watching.